Hey, Hong Kong just won another Olympic gold medal, the third gold medal in its history, so that's great. And today I'm going to be doing an album review on the new Hasegawa Hakushi album,魔法学校, or in English it means Magic School. So, Japanese singer, songwriter, musical producer Hasegawa Hakushi has released a new album, and I was introduced to their music last year when Spotify randomly recommended the song Mouth Flash to me, which at first I thought was insane. I was very confused with what the song is trying to do. It's noisy, it's weird, it's glitchy, and while I've listened to noisy and glitchy music, I've never heard it try to be bright and poppy at the same time. In a way, it's like it's J-pop, but it really grew on me to the point where I included it in the top 50 favorite songs list at the end of the year. So now we have a full-length album from this artist, Hasegawa Hakushi, who specializes in art pop and glitch pop. But make no mistake, because their art pop music is not like any other art pop you've ever listened to. They essentially infuse their pop music with a shit ton of noise. It's so noisy and it's so glitchy and it's so brain hurting, it almost becomes a masterpiece. But this album in particular, Mahokako, is their noisiest album thus far. Not only that, but apparently they're also an expert in jazz, because there are so many jazz elements and jazzy chords that sort of go around their music. So with all these strange clashings and mashings of genres, the new kind of music that come out of it sounds like music made by aliens. They're so weird, they're so out there, they're so bold, and in the forefront of music making. It honestly rivals the music of Sophie. Not only that, but this is the first studio album from them that is signed to Brain Feeder, which is the same record label that Flying Lotus is under. So normally you'd think that there would be more interesting projects to come out of them from here on out. But anyways, this is their first album under Brain Feeder, and holy shit, what the hell did I just listen to? So the first two tracks,行っちゃった and行ってしまつた. By the way, I'm sorry if the Japanese is wrong here. I used Google Translate to translate the Japanese titles to pronounce Japanese, which obviously is not going to be that accurate. But anyways, the first two tracks, the English titles are Departed and Gone, and they are the same duration. And essentially they are back to back pure freaking noise. Way to go to start off the album, huh? The first track, Departed, has the chomping, spamming noise hits, adrenaline pumping keyboards, beautiful falsetto vocals. Right off the bat, it is already a colorful explosion, and then we are introduced to jazzy chord changes, the rhythm changes twice, it gets quiet, it gets loud, and right off the bat, this is already one of the craziest things I've heard all year. Following that, we have, oh my god, my hair. Following that, we have the track Gone, which is even fucking crazier. The only band, the only artist that I can think of who can do this literally on a second track of an album is Death Grips with the track Hothead, because this track is literally the hothead of Hasegawa Hakushi. This track immediately hit us with one of the noisiest things I've ever heard from Japan, right next to Merzbow. Yet it still somehow tries to be poppy and blissful and bright. We have the only feature on the entire album from rapper Kid Frasino, and his rapping is completely buried underneath these percussion hits that are spammed at us at breakneck pace to the point where it turns into white noise. And then Kid Frasino's verse is a little bit reverby and a little eccentric. It sounds like Japanese Jordy Griep. So literally insanity in musical form. What the hell am I listening to? Then we have the lead-up single Mouth Flash, or Kuchi no Hanabi, which pretty much means fireworks in your mouth. And it is also a very noisy and cacophonous track, but it hits a groove really fast. We have glitchy, stuttery guitars, weird, cute bits of shouting, group vocals that sounds like a train whistle. It sounds like a train whistle. And we have lyrics about somebody placing a firework in their throat, and then they're saying good morning to all sorts of things. They're saying good morning to narcissists, they're saying good morning to flowers, they're saying good morning to feet, like the human body part, feet. Yeah, again, I feel like I'm not tripping when I'm listening to this track. I feel like I'm going through a psychotic breakdown when I'm listening to the track. Then we have a 2.5 minute long interlude, Tekkai, or repeal, where we have these alien-like bubbly noises, something that Igloo Ghost would probably use a lot of, weird vocal samples, muffly guitars, soft, rainy string sound effects that sound like 3 field recordings stacked on top of one another. Even an interlude sounds absolutely unhinged. I don't know what the hell's happening, but somehow this is a calm, beautiful moment. And then the next track, Tsubomi ni Kaminari, or The Blossom and the Thunder, is a much needed chill moment on the album and a highlight on the album for me. The track is slightly offbeat, so you don't feel comfortable enough when listening to the track. You feel like there's something off, but it's still already like the chillest moment here. We have jazzy keyboards. I love it. I really, really love it when their vocals sort of switch from feminine falsettos to masculine lows, and you can really experience the gender fluidity that just sort of oozes from this track. It gets so noisy and crushing at the end, yet the pianos and the keyboards are so nocturnal and dreamy, it just keeps clashing against each other. Following that, we have Kyofun no Hoshi, or Terrifying Star, which pretty much lives up to its title because this song is terrifying. Essentially, they are back to their noisy thing with blasting horns, compressed keyboards, beats so fast that it reaches white noise. It sounds like 5 songs being played at the same time. It just sounds like pure psychosis, and while I like how experimental it is, I have to admit the song's effect is beginning to wear off on me. Instead of being elated by how experimental it is, at this point my ears are just bleeding. So following that, we have Neneko Koromi, which is an electronic heavy interlude. It's buzzy, it's busy, but it hits a nice rhythm. Following that, we have Kimotsu, or Forbidden Thing. In a sense, this is a piano ballad. We have the same 5 piano notes being hit again and again and again and again and again, and it sort of forms a loop, and that loop becomes a backdrop to some watery and pretty pianos. It's very faint, pumping beat in the back that just keeps building up, but it never builds up to something. It's just in the back, hanging out. And then we have lyrics about teeth and bite marks. Yeah, it's very confusing, but I think this is also one of the prettier compositions on the entire album. Following that, we have Magic Interlude version 2, which is just 30 seconds of a field recording, I guess. It sounds like an American guy talking to an alien, but maybe they're both AI. At this point, I couldn't tell. But what I can tell is that the next track is one of the most beautiful moments on the album. Boy's Texture starts off with an extremely liberating and cathartic 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it just blasts us into these hopeful and gorgeous guitars. I feel like I'm listening to 7 layers of noise that I didn't know could be made by humans. Hasegawa Hakushi screeches, screams, yodels. At some point they sound like a seal. Yeah, like a seal. It's just like, how did they even make these noises? Like, what's going on? And then in the second half of the track, it introduces these huge chomping beats. It sounds like Kanye West's Power, but nice. It sounds like nice Kanye. And then occasionally it turns into acoustic guitars. We have lyrics like taste me, fold me. Again, lyrics about boy's texture, I guess, detailing what it's like to be masculine, but also what it's like to be feminine at the same time. Enbami, Burning, is a 2-minute interlude that's just pure noise. It sounds like a malfunctioning robot on its dying bed. Finally, the album ends off on Soto, or Outside, where we have clean, bold, fluttery pianos in the very beginning, only pianos, just a single track, but it sort of builds on top. We have many layers of auto-tuned vocals that sound slightly off-key, and then we are introduced to these big rhythms, and I just feel like this is appropriate as the big finale to the album, especially with lyrics saying, I want to go outside, Soto ni ikitai. Yeah, I feel like that's it for the album. Yeah. I have no idea what I just listened to. And I listen to a lot of music, and I try my best to push my boundaries and listen to more experimental and noisy music, but geez, this has got to be one of the most out there music I've listened to for a very long time. I don't know if a human being even made this album, honestly. This album feels like it's made by an alien. It's so out there, it's so experimental. My ears are bleeding, and sure, some tracks here are not that enjoyable because it's just so extremely noisy, but I think overall there's just something so commendable about such a wacky and out there album. I'm giving the new Hasegawa Hakushi album,魔法学校, a strong 8 to a light 9 out of 10. So have you listened to the new Hasegawa Hakushi album? Comments below, let me know, subscribe if you want more, and thanks for watching.